Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another race in the ALTTPR Season 3 playoffs. This is going to be a blast here. As you can see on one side, we have Alucard2004 representing Stoop's Troop, and Scarlet on the other end representing Fromp's Time. I am not entirely certain if Fromp stands for something. If it does, then oops, I guess I should have done my research, but there we go. I am Hammer Bro in the booth, and I'm joined by Mr. Highwind. Zeke, how you doing today, man?
Doing well, Hammer. We've got open today.
Yes, we do. It is actually, believe it or not, a regular old 7-7 open defeat Ganon seed. So, outside of any ridiculous shenaniganery, we are going to require 7 crystals, climb up GT, and jump down the hole and just murder the pig. Hopefully that'll be more or less what happens. No big divergences. Hopefully no aga. Let's keep the pendant dips to a minimum. I want a nice seed here. How do you normally fall on that? Are you looking for like an earlier time, or do you want this to be a 2-hour insane seed?
Normally, I would say I'd like to see something in the 145 range, long enough to bring some excitement. But after the last couple of seeds I've been seeing, I think we could do with a short one.
I'm more along those lines usually. I want something that's, you know, hovering around 135, 140 at least. But after the one I calmed last night, that was a 149 seed, I believe, for Invitational. You know, let's beat that time. Let's get something relatively nice here and just roll through it. You know, I want some divergence. I don't want too much linearity, but let's not torture these guys for too long.
And it looks like
all right, we have a magical big 20 sitting in Link's house. That is one of 28, so we're going to be seeing probably a very large handful of those. And our runners doing the exact same start, just about synced between them.
It's always interesting to see when the blue guard despawns and when it doesn't.
You know, I have opened probably, I don't know, between the seeds that I've calmed and the seeds that I've played, I'm probably well over 300 seeds, and I still can't figure it out as we get another big 20.
Making the uncle's pocket change for our allowance.
All right, this has to stop.
Can we go for a fourth one from Sanctuary?
No, stop it. Stop it. Don't start this. Okay, thank goodness. And that's actually a really nice font. It's obviously not progression, but 3 bombs is all we need to full clear everything in Kakariko, so we won't have to worry about some insane routing. I did see a red crystal over on Eastern Palace, one of the 5-6, and then Desert and Hera just being our regular old blue crystals today.
I do like to see all 3 Light World crystals, because it means we have more chances of some of the less fun dungeons being required.
That's fair, as Scarlet just gets completely and totally gypped on trying to see what that bush crab was. Gonna get another try up here. Okay, more rupees. And more bombs on Alucard's side. I'm sure we're going to be seeing those from Scarlet in just a minute here. Just a full heart on Lumberjack, so Aga will not be required for the Lumberjack item.
That's a relief.
Yes. Oh, okay. Early lamp. I might want to take that whole no Aga thing back. When you see an early lamp...
At least they won't need to find the item.
On the flip side, it is an early fire source. The reason why we tend to shy away from the lamp seeing it early is because it could denote a typical, like, the potential for an Aga seed, really. And we do try to avoid those if we can at all costs. But it is also a fire source and does give logical access to certain checks in Eastern, Desert, and Hera. So it might not be leaning towards Aga, hopefully.
Blind's hideout is off to a great start with a mushroom and 2 green rupees.
Is that a commentator's blessing? When you sarcastically, note that Blind's high. Yeah, that was a commentator's blessing. I'll give that one to you.
Mirror and sword make up for the mushroom and 2 green rupees.
Yeah, no kidding. You were like, Blind's Hut sucks, and then Blind's Hut was like, hold my mirror. And to be perfectly fair, that mushroom might come in handy.
Well, for one, if they find the hammer and the red cane, they could pull fake powder off here. But the chance of finding both of those this early can be a little low.
Yeah, that's fair. That would be a super interesting situation. I don't know if that would be the earliest fake. Uh-oh. Okay.
Well, there's the hammer.
I swear, Zeke, don't do it.
Also, Cape is not a pleasant sight right now.
No, it's not. You can add that to the list of, well, things that point towards Aga. And right now, Alucard, as of this exact moment, has logical access to Aga. Scarlet will be getting that access here in just a moment.
On the plus side, they do have a hammer, which is both a very effective weapon and very important for traversing.
Yeah, that's fair. That is one of the 3 wonderful pieces for Dark World access. And I don't know why Alu's going in there, because I don't think you have a bottle yet. Okay. So that 300 there is actually really nice. Early rupees are awesome to have, honestly. It's not generally a huge deal, especially if you have enough for the bottle vendor, which obviously both runners have already done. But it's nice to have. It gets you a good amount of the way towards Zora if you want a fake flipper over there after South Shore, which our runners could be doing in a moment here. It also is just nice to have some stinking money, man.
Both race game and library ledge are skippable items here. The race game is 10 arrows, and the library that we'd have to get our boots for to come get is just a piece of art. It's always nice to find nothing there.
So, Alucard, okay, he had that mushroom out, and I thought for a minute that he was going to pull an Act the Boker, and, probably wishes he could turn around and pick up that bomb. I thought he was going to pull an Act the Boker and turn that in like sub 6 minutes, but decided not to. So we're going to be holding out on that for just a little bit. That water portal that's just to the left here, if you go one screen over to the left on Scarlet's side, which we, nope, won't be seeing. Damn, both runners kind of getting close there. But that portal right there up on the top of the screen for Scarlet, you can actually use to fake flipper and get really close to the mushroom turret. So that's an option as Alucard gets another 300, and now we have Zora money.
I know people like to use that portal a lot when they're doing openings and like cross keys runs. I've never seen it done in an open myself.
I think I've done it a couple of times, more for the memes of turning in the mushroom really, really early than for anything else. But I've seen it used in a non-cross keys, or in a non-cross world, I think, once. So it's not likely, but it is there. Man, these mini Moldorums being in the bomb pack is really nice. Alucard probably wishing he had one more position through the pack, because the next drop, I believe, is going to be a 4-bomb. Meanwhile, Scarlet making a really, really early Agonut play. If this is something useful, that could be a huge advantage, because runners tend to not love coming over here unless they have either the book or something to make this check less annoying. And
that Moon Pearl there?
Right as I say that...
That's 2 out of the 3 pieces we would need for Dark World access.
Yeah, and we're just missing the glove at this point, which is... it is what it is. We're kind of running a little lower on checks here. We still do have all of the eastern area, and then all of escape, as that is Scarlet's last bombs. I don't recall if there were any bombs in here, so if the mini Moldorms are not friendly with their drops, Scarlet will not be able to do Ice Rod Cave. Wow. So you have a 50% chance of getting a drop. So the odds that Scarlet would go over 4 there is, well, never mind, there's bombs. I forgot about those. Is about 1 in 16, so a bit unlucky there.
Alu here is making our first dip into escape.
Yeah, not a bad play. Without the Moon Pearl, doing a fake flipper is iffy since you cannot get into Waterfall Cave. And you don't have the required items to get to Splash Delete to get Zora's Ledge, so you'd really be doing it for one check. That is also out of logic without a glove. So I'm not really too surprised that he didn't do that there. And all that really leaves him. That was an intentional mirror. Interesting. So he stole a key to go check the back. This is if there's a small key in the back here past Dark Cross, then this is technically out of logic without a glove. If there's not, then it doesn't matter.
I do like this play where we don't have that glove, because it guarantees you can get all of the items in your one trip.
Yes, that is very fair.
Meanwhile, Scarlet's going to make that fake flipper play with the Moon Pearl. So that's 3 checks for her.
Well,
it's in logic now.
Both runners having an interesting grab. That was unexpected. And hey, with those 3 items, we don't have to worry about Aga, as there's a bow on Hylia Island. Okay.
So we need flippers to get that once we have Dark World access, which once Scarlet gets the glove out of escape, she'll have access. But the question comes down to, how long will it take Alu to get the Moon Pearl off of Gina?
To be fair, there are a handful of ways to fake flipper there. It is dangerous with the parabombers that enjoy frequenting that area in the Dark World, but if you're down to the point where you don't need the flippers for Swamp, because we can fake flipper to Ice Palace, so if Swamp is a pendant, Scarlet might just do a Splash Delete there, and then just go grab that bow. So we'll see. Flipper's not necessarily going to be hard required.
That also depends on if that's the first logical bow, or if there's another one available for us.
I missed the Zora Ledge. What was on there? Was there anything useful?
I unfortunately missed it as well. Our tracker says a blue rupee. Thank you, Ikir.
Wow, okay. Zora having the goods. Now, technically with that glove on Alu's side, the flute is within logic.
That's full Death Mountain access. Because with the mirror and the hammer, we can get to East Death Mountain.
So now Alu heading back to do a check of the Lumberjack. Gonna see the full heart there. and probably going to go up the mountain, I would assume.
My guess is that's a tier 2 tree pole with those 10 arrows.
Yeah, that's what I would suspect as well. So this is interesting. We have quite a bit of a cascading effect here. Scarlet grabbing the Moon Pearl out of Agana made her much more likely to do the fake flip ring, which gave her the flute off of Zora. So that's an interesting little different set here. Meanwhile, Alu went and did Escape and got a glove out of Dark Cross.
I would believe Scarlet would know that without a glove, there's a glove accessible to her still, easily. Because Zora is still out of logic without that glove, too. Or
That's
flippers.
fair. That's fair, which technically for her makes all of these checks out of logic. Because if you need the glove or the flippers to get to the flute, then technically the flute's out of logic. And her running up here using the flute is technically out of logic as well. All right, and we have green pendant Turtle Rock because, of course, our other two pendants are Swamp and Mire. So Flipper's not necessarily going to be full required here. And then the 5-6 was Skull Woods, I believe.
So, interestingly enough, that Quake medallion we found deep in Hyrule Castle might not be important.
What you mean to say is the Quake medallion we found in Hyrule Castle hopefully won't be important at all.
And this dungeon is not fire-locked for the top part of it. Why is it when you have a fire source, it's always not fire-locked, but if you don't have one, the big key's in the basement?
You know, I don't know, but that does seem to occur a lot. Scarlet having a little trouble with these hard hat beetles. They can really be a pain in the butt if you get off script for this one. And with 4 hearts, Alucard gonna play it safe, hit that switch there. So we'll be able to get heart refills if needed before our favorite troll one. That is one item. Interesting here, Alu not doing the bomb jump. Scarlet looks like she is gonna go ahead and get that done. So gonna save a little bit of time here. Oh, never mind. Had to fall down because I accidentally hit the tile there. So it ends up about being a wash.
So, at the moment, both runners are probably hoping that the map is not on Moldor.
Yeah, because no one really wants to go down to the basement, especially if you don't need to clear the dungeon. Like, it's one thing if you don't have a hook shot, and like you said, the big key's hiding down there, so you have to go get it. It's like, you know what? Fine. But when you have that one item down there and you're thinking, you know, it's probably not going to be anything, as Moldorm just plays a little bit of baseball and hits Alu out to left field. Hey, it's nice to know the bosses are synced up, baby. There we go. Trolldorm 2 for 2 with 2 doubles off the left field wall. Alu not having it, just pulls out the cape. That was a spectacular call.
You know, after falling off once, I don't blame him.
No, I don't either, especially because you are going to get a health and magic refill once this boss is over. Synced Moldorm kills, and how about a map? All right, awesome. Map is in the basement. We're good to go.
And we have our first crystal simultaneously for both runners.
Yeah, and at 17 3/4 minutes here, not a bad time for that first pickup, especially because they've been run around quite a bit here. I imagine both runners will head over towards East Death Mountain, which has a massive grand total of 8 items right now for each of them. Interestingly enough, we're not going to see Dark World here from either of them because Alu is missing the Moon Pearl and Scarlet is missing the One Glow. So
Was that a bottle on Floating Island?
I think so. Which, that's a pretty terrible spot for that, honestly.
And in Spiral Cave today, we have hiding just a piece of heart.
Yeah, with 24 of those, pieces of heart are a near second to the big 20s as the most common item you see in the game.
And this is one of the most lucrative single caves you can have.
Lucrative in terms of item checks, yes, but I've noticed for this league it tends not to be as lucrative as you would think. Now that I've said that, we'll see how it turns out.
It's off to a good start, as you've been putting it.
Yeah, it is. It's off to an excellent start. Oh well. Hello, Boots.
Blue Cane and Boots make this not the worst cave, Paradox Cave I've seen. And Red Mail.
Alright, so the top Paradox Cave, you know, just, yeah. Proving me wrong there. Kinda interesting. I'm not sure where Scarlet is going. I hope Scarlet remembers that you can't do Spike Cave without a glove. Or did she just not check? Okay, she just didn't check. Never mind, I don't think she remembers that you don't have a glove and can't do this without a glove. Oops.
There's our bug net in the Bonk Rock check.
This is going to feel bad in approximately, I don't know, 20 seconds? Scarlet, no.
And right about here.
Well, I'm pretty sure at this point, the thought that went through Scarlet's head is, well, if Spike Cave has progression, then that's GG. Alu, meanwhile, getting 40 bucks and a shovel.
Who likes fetch quests?
Not most people. I do believe this is the first mushroom turn-in. Scarlet's flute making it way easier, and just 3 bombs. We are... Oh, never mind. We are going to do a reset. So what this does in this instance is it allows Scarlet to keep that mushroom. The 3 bombs that the witch gave not being worth our time. And with that mushroom in hand, like Zeke mentioned a bit earlier in Kakariko, if and when we come across that Cane of Samaria, which I would just like to throw out, is not necessarily going to be required to beat this seed, we'll be able to fake power.
Yeah, with Mire and Turtle Rock being pendants, we won't necessarily need the Cane of Samaria unless the big key is right side Ganon's tower.
So this is where things get interesting, because Alu's running through Eastern. It's not a play that is necessarily a great call without the bow, but from Alu's side, you're basically sitting at Eastern or Agana or a fake flipper up to Zora. And without the Moon Pearl, really all you're getting up there is Zora. So I don't dislike the play, but putting off our wonderful Agana check over in the corner of Hyrule is going to be problematic.
technically the other option Alu has is probably the least enticing one, because very technically you could look for Pyramid Ledge by going through Aghanim's tower.
Yes. Honestly, I don't
But who wants to do that?
I don't think that Alu's going to make that play, if only because the item that he's missing is the Moon Pearl. If it were a situation where you're short a glove or a hammer, then I could see making that play, because then doing Aghanim gives you Dark World access and gives you more than one check in the Dark World. But with Aghanim being good for only one check, that is the longest of the 3 orphan checks that you have. So it's kind of a risky move to try to pull that one off.
Like I said, definitely the least enticing, but it is there. I don't think we'll be seeing an Aghanim.
No, I wouldn't suspect so, but runners have done interesting things. You know, when you're flying through a seed, sometimes you get gut feelings, and when you do, as we find out that there is, in fact, a single item sitting on our wondrous Armostites, sometimes you just go and do it even though it's not necessarily the correct play. Looks like Alu is going to be turning in that shovel first, though. Alucard rolling in the dough as the shovel gives us another 300 rupees. And coming down here, I imagine that he's going to be lifting this rock and heading towards Aghanim's cave to get his own Moon Pearl. Hype Cave, meanwhile, starts off with a big 20, and then a little shield. 5 more bucks, the mitts, and the hook shot. So, Hype Cave pulling a blind set and deciding it's going to go ahead and give us nothing in the first 3 checks and then come through in the last 2. Amusingly enough, those last 2 checks scream Dark Death Mountain. Alright, so 50 bucks off of Stumpy there. Meanwhile, Alucard going to be grabbing that Moon Pearl, thank goodness. The interesting thing here is that Alucard is going to be less likely to do fake flippers, so he's going to be putting off that flute find for a bit longer, I would say. Scarlet not saying no to a full heart sitting in cave 45. You generally don't say no to full hearts unless you got a whole bunch of health, and since that was Scarlet's 7th, even with red mail, it's worth the grab.
I'd argue it's worth it for Mothula alone.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if not Mothula, then blind.
And with both of those being crystals, although we are lacking the Fire Rod as Digging Game comes through with a Master Sword. Won't say no to those for either Thieves Town or Skull Woods. Oh, this is interesting. Alucard doing a save and quit and is going to go into the Dark World Mountain area, which is actually what I alluded to when we found that hookshot and mitts. It'll be interesting to see if either of our hunches are correct.
I also like this early check of Blacksmith area.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Especially with everything Scarlet has, this is going to be a quick trio of checks.
And especially where Scarlet came from the south, so could pick up the blacksmith on her way in.
Yes, it's not even a situation where you have to go out of your way at all, so definitely a good pickup. And then honestly, at this point, you could grab the purple chest, flute your butt down there, and then flute right back up and get that portal.
Alucard unfortunately misses the block clip with the hook shot.
All right, Smith's given another heart, which we are not going to say no to.
They give her the love of saving their missing blacksmith.
So at this point, honestly, I feel like both our runners would be completely and totally content to never, ever, 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 ever in this seed come across the Cane of Samaria or the Flippers.
Alucard is giving us our Turtle Rock Medallion check, and it is that Quake.
Oh no.
Now Alucard really doesn't want to see that Cane of Samaria right now.
The unfortunate option here is that there tends to be something for Turtle Rock in these 6 checks. There usually is, you know? And I'm really hoping for both our runners' sake there's nothing up here just because I don't want to see them have to dip Turtle Rock. Alucard thinking about an S&Q, but might be doing Spike Cave, which would be a new check for us. And honestly, if Spike Cave is something, that would feel real bad for Scarlet.
I would have considered picking up that bottle.
Oh, that's a good call. Not only is that a potential safety if we can get something fun to fill it with, it is also a check for Sick Kid, where I imagine that Alucard's going to be heading over towards Village of Outcasts next. And with that wonderful mirror, can just go ahead and check Sick Kid right before or afterwards, either way.
I unfortunately have only counted 1 item from Thieves Town. I did not see what the first item was.
Yeah, I only saw the 1 item as well. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be full clear in this dungeon anyway, so not a big deal.
One of the unfortunate things with Alu's route for this Thieves Town trip, at least, is Scarlet does have that Master Sword.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is going to make this a little bit easier, since Master Sword 1 hits a decent amount of the enemies here in Thieves Town, and 2 hits all of them, whereas Alucard is going to be dealing with several hits if he wants to actually take out enemies. But with the hookshot in hand and the newly found red boomerang sitting in Spike Cave, we'll have one of 2 options to stun them should he so choose. Oh no, that's on the list of items we didn't want to see.
As long as we don't have a red cane, we don't have to worry about it.
Look, Zeke, I'm all for having a really nice seed, but do we honestly think we're not going to come across the Cane of Samaria this seed?
Oh, absolutely not. The red cane is going to show up, I'm going to guess, before we get to Ice Palace.
I mean, that would actually not be bad. Having the Cane of Samaria for Ice Palace is a good, half minute to 45-second time save?
Alternatively, it will be in the vanilla big key chest. One of the 2. More importantly, the red cane can actually still be required in this seed, logically.
That's fair. If there is a key sitting on the Cold Stare boss, then the Cane of Samaria would technically be required to complete Ice Palace. Now, neither of our runners really care about that, since they can both do Icebreaker and the Ice Palace Bomb Jump, I'm sure. Even though, given the existence of Icebreaker, the IPBJ might be a little bit rusty for both of them. We actually might get to see that, which is always kind of fun. It's a fun throwback to Ice Palace strats. But doable for both of them, I'm sure.
And as Vortex of Doom says, there is also the matter of right side.
Yeah, what? Alright, Blind making an Ice Rod pun. That was insult right there. Come on, man.
I accidentally hit my deafen button there. As I was saying, Vortex making the point that right side Ganon's Tower, it could still be an issue.
Yeah, that's fair. That is only a 5 and 22. So, It's kind of interesting. Depending on when you get into go mode outside of that Cane of Samaria, is it worth it to just go mode all the dungeons you have left and hope that that 5 and 22 doesn't bite you?
And that is our second crystal cleared for Scarlet. Alu will likely have that crystal picked up in the next couple of minutes as well. So, where would you expect to see progression show up next?
I don't know, man. We have a decent amount left at this point. Pod is always an option. There's just so much over there, and even without the bow, you know, it's just a thing. I would actually love to see something like up here in the next couple checks, because we have not seen King's Tomb and we have not seen Graveyard Ledge. And then if Scarlet is familiar with and good at the Kern jump, then we could actually see Catfish right after this.
We could. The other option I see for that would orphan Catfish a bit, but we could see a Mirror and Flute to 5.
Yes, that would be the quickest way to get to the largest amount of items left. Because that would get you to outside of Dark Death Mountain, which Scarlet has not done, but we know doesn't contain anything. That would be the quickest way to pod, which is the biggest amount of items, but then getting to the Pyramid Ledge and more importantly Catfish, as we see a bottle there. So Sick Kid is now also within logic.
I was just wondering what was on Sick Kid since we had access to that bottle on Floating Island.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alternatively, we have Mire area and desert that we could do, actually.
I like this desert area play.
I do as well. We have everything we need to complete it. You get to see the last bit of information that we could potentially need to complete this seed, but hopefully not, as Bombos is the required Mire medallion. Whew. Okay, that's not the one we need.
I was ready for it to be Bombos in that other check.
That would have been funny in a thank goodness I'm commentating and not playing this race kind of way.
It would not be the first time that Pendant Myers had something either.
Oh, absolutely not. And it's really a sucker's play, because you think about Mire and you're like, you know, I don't even need it to complete this game. There's only 2 items. Like, what are the odds? But I feel like Mire ends up having stuff more often than it logically, mathematically should. And yeah, here goes Desert, which is completely and totally full clearable no matter where the keys are. So this is another crystal we can go ahead and knock out. Great play.
My guess is we're about to have an item on Torch. Because we had access to boots early, so why would it be boots locked?
Well, it's not boots locked, which is hilarious, actually. And not only is it not boots locked, there was nothing on Torch. Unless you fancy some Mexican food. Had a nice burrito up there.
Slightly unfortunate is the big key here, as I still feel it's a slightly faster route if you just get to Mirror and then go back up to here.
Yeah, slightly, but you know that your opponent's gonna have to do it anyways, unless they get to go mode Desert. Which, given how early we have access to it, as a runner, I would assume that my opponent is probably going to be hopping in here sooner rather than later as well. Did we ever see a purple chest check from Scarlet? I do not recall.
We did not.
Okay, so this could be interesting if that has something. Meanwhile, that was one item in Desert that I saw, and Landmo's going to have the other one.
I don't blame Scarlet for leaving Purple Chest. The time it takes to get out of the way, especially when there's the entire Village of Outcasts you could do. Not the worst decision in my mind.
I don't dislike it either, but the problem is it's one of those spots. Like, do you really want to go back? No, me neither. So, you know, it becomes one of those things. It's one of those squares that just sitting on your map tracker, if you have one, that just say, hey, you could go here. I could, but I'm not gonna. I don't know. Those make me nervous, man. Another thing we should probably talk about is the potential for another wonderful 2-item dungeon to have something for us, and that is Skull Woods, as these Moldorms are just not giving us, or Moldorms, help me. Landmos are actually being Moldorms with their trolly little hops here. I'm pretty sure a 1 cycle without silvers at this point is just physically impossible with the double short hop. But yeah, Skull Woods could have something. Again, not terribly likely. There are 2 locations that we cannot reach without that fire rod, but we're kind of running out of options here. Purple chest gives us nothing.
And Scarlet gets the crystal out of desert. I missed the item.
Shovel, help me. Shield upgrade. Up to fire shield now.
Oh, yay. Too bad we've already beaten blind.
That's fair. That's the one time it comes in handy. Although I guess it could come in handy for Landmo 2 as well. So that was interesting. I don't think I've ever seen
that was kind of odd. Sick Kid loves the bottle that we showed him.
Really? Really? He didn't want to give us anything, but he didn't have the heart not to. The indecision there is delightful. Oh, I thought she was gonna do some Death Mountain stuff, but deciding not to. So this could either be Skull Woods or this could be Purple Chest. I would anticipate a Skull Woods check here of the 2, but
meanwhile, Alucard is getting his fake flipper checks in. So we'll probably be picking up that flute shortly.
Chat bringing up a good point. With the boots in hand, if Scarlet is familiar with the water walk here, she can do that instead. Wouldn't even have to do the current jump. Can just use those boots to get herself over to the east side of the Dark World here.
Doesn't everyone love the statue room?
Oh, that's a
It's dirty game.
All right, so that item location is terrible for 2 different reasons. The first one being the reason we were talking about earlier, where Cane Samaria is one of the items our runners really don't want to see if they can help it. The second reason is because, as Zeke kind of alluded to, that room is way easier with the Cane Samaria. You can just walk over there, slap down the block, keep it moving. But the Cane of Samaria being there puts pain to that.
Oh, that one was dirty game. Well done. And the flippers. Those are items we did not want to see right now.
Skullwood's giving you the, no, really, you can keep it items.
Well, we are okay with the flippers because that does give us that bow. Barely. We are barely acceptable with the flippers.
That's fair. And technically we're only sitting on needing the fire rod now? I think.
I believe that is correct.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, and if I end up being wrong here, then I'm very, very sorry. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Turtle Rock is an unlikely solution. And here's why. Although you can technically get very, 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 very far into the dungeon without the fire rod, it is increasingly unlikely. So, that being said, Turtle Rock is almost definitely not going to be our answer. We could see a fire rod in Turtle Rock, or something leading to the fire rod, which at this point I believe could only be the book. I think we have exhausted every other fetch quest between our two runners. Meyer, on the other hand, completely and totally in logic, and possible to have our fire rod, assuming we can find the Bombos medallion at some point.
Like you said, I don't expect a TR dive from any runner, because of the fact that you would have to have a very specific key layout to get farther than maybe 2 checks in.
Yes, I completely agree. That is the check that you do if you think that you're way behind and you're trying to secure a win. If we see either runner dip into Turtle Rock, I would be led to believe that they feel like they're behind, and that this is kind of a way to swing the scales back in their favor.
I am a fan of this pod trip, because pod at this point is 5 items, and a crystal that we need to clear anyways. In addition, Scarlet can combine it with what we know to be mostly empty Eastern to get another crystal as well.
Yeah, and this is just a super clean play here. It's going to give us 2 more crystals regardless of what is or isn't in these dungeons. So you might as well go ahead and knock it out.
I am a big proponent of checking crystal dungeons you can clear early.
Yeah, because there's almost no time loss in most situations. The only way you're losing time by clearing these dungeons early is if they have absolutely nothing in them and the layout isn't a particular way that go moding them would be faster. Which, for most dungeons, go moding is a bit faster, but in certain dungeons like Pod, depending on where that big key is, you could basically be full clearing the dungeon anyways.
And especially when we look at Eastern, I believe the Eastern big key, while not in a terrible spot, is slightly out of the way, because if I remember correctly, the Eastern big key is in the map chest.
Yes, I believe that's correct. In the hook-shotable chest that you can get to, usually the second chest you open in Eastern.
So, one thing to note is rather than check the 2 checks that were left in the front of Pod, Scarlet recognized that she had the 2 items that can be from the front and not be keys, and instead went straight to the back. Pod key logic is very much fun.
Yes. Pod key logic can be confusing because there are so many keys, but Ice Palace key logic, in my opinion, is worse just because of the many ways you can meander your way through Ice Palace, which differs based upon what items you have as well, so... Alu having a little difficulty here with Lanmo as well. Struggling with the ice rod shots, have to do a couple of spins, and has given us some happy slashes for it. Meanwhile, Scarlet is attempting to line up the infamous hammer jumper.
One of the more useful tricks for this dungeon.
Gets it off pretty cleanly there. Had a decent amount of buffering, but it is pixel perfect or vertically for both the bomb and for yourself. So amusingly enough, at this point, Alucard heading in pretty much the exact same direction Scarlet did. Gonna be grabbing the flippers and the cane of Samaria out of Skull Woods. Scarlet's routing is somewhat confusing me with the mirror in hand, but... I guess that might be faster? I don't know, I usually see people mirror out after that, but to each their own.
I'll admit, I don't pretend to know how the best route through pod. There are plenty of options.
Alright, so in a list of things we can check off the list for the fire rod hunt. We know it's not on PED, because it is absolutely required for TR. And we know it's not in Pyramid Fairy because it's absolutely required for Skull Blitz. So that is two of the more annoying locations that it cannot be set for. Hammer hitbox being a little trolly there. The hit looked clean to me, but the turtle said no.
The hammer hitbox is one of the weirdest things to use in this game. It makes it one of the most difficult to use items, but it's also one of the more rewarding because it always does tempered sword damage, which when you're running on fighters or master sword is a damage increase. Also showing us the interaction of the sword, holding out your sword and using your hammer to extend the upward hitbox.
Without too much difficulty there, our wonderful friend Helmasaur goes down. That is another crystal for Scarlet, up to 4 now.
And the last item was just a single arrow. The only one in the game, if my memory serves correct.
Yep. And back when hints were a thing, that was actually a really, really funny occurrence. Because you could get a situation where it says, there is a unique item in this location. And you go there because you think, hey, it's got to be useful, right? And it's the single arrow.
Because, as I said, there's only one of them, which makes it unique.
Yeah, unique.
That's rude, is what it is.
But
I think this is about to be Alucard's first model.
yes, I believe you are correct. And it looks like he is going to be taking that over to Sick Kid. Not a bad call. Really quick check. Okay, or make a liar. What are you doing, man? Quit laughing, Z. I already have a runner making a fool out of me. I don't need you. I don't need you giggling in the background.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
I guess. Probably a good call. So, Alu here, this is interesting. Are you going into Swamp Palace right now? No. Is Alu intending to do the pyramid ledge first? Oh no, he's getting the bow. Wow. Okay. Ignore the idiot in the booth. I forgot about that.
Scarlet did this too, so.
You know, I know, but I forget these things, okay? Did he just mirror bonk on the single bush? That's unfortunate. It's just a bush, you know, just take a heart away from Link to simulate the thorns, right? And keep it moving. Actually, come to think of it, have we had a check of the pyramid ledge or of catfish? I don't believe so.
We have not.
Ooh. That could be an interesting spot for those as well. Although I don't know if Scarlet is planning on checking one or both of those as soon as she completes Eastern here. Alright, so Armos has one item for us. What do we have left? Armos, Catfish, Graveyard Ledge, help me. Pyramid Ledge, and then our wonderful Swamp. And potentially something in Turtle Rock.
Honestly, if it ends up in Turtle Rock, we need to have a word with whoever rolled this seed.
You should have seen the last seed the duo rolled.
I did.
Alright, just like that, Armos goes down like clockwork, just 3 bombs. 3 bombs and 5 crystals.
We all understand that the person rolling the seed has no bearing, but we like to have somebody to blame in this community.
Absolutely.
No one wants to blame Synac's bot.
Are you sure about that?
Okay, I don't want to blame Synac's bot. That would be too easy.
That's fair. Alright, so here comes one of those checks we have not seen yet. Man, hook speed is so nice. Alright, just 3 bombs on the pyramid, so we can check that one off the list. And we're continuing on to Catfish. And this is the interesting part of the seed, because there aren't really any good plays left for Scarlet. Ice Palace is not an option since we are lacking both the Fire Rod and the Bombos Medallion. Can't do anything else in Skull Woods, and with those being the 2 crystals we have left, we're basically sitting on some somewhat isolated overworld checks, and the potential of having to hop our butts into Swamp.
I believe Scarlet has not touched Dark Mountain yet.
Yes, but I think that Scarlet is going to be avoiding that play, and I might be wrong, because she might flute to 1 right here. What you gonna do? Alright, so, I'm not surprised to see that, and here's why. Scarlet does not know what the Turtle Rock Medallion is. Scarlet does not want to go up the mountain because the mountain is going to be a time sink. Yes, there are a lot of items. Yes, for Scarlet, there are 7 items in there because Scarlet did not do Spike Cave as well. Tried to go in there without the glove, didn't have it. Allie did Spike Cave. We know Spike Cave's useless, but she does not. That being said, once you run through Super Bunny and Hookshot, if you don't find anything, you start giving Turtle Rock the side eye. And do you really want to go into Turtle Rock? I mean, absolutely not. Not looking for a Fire Rod. That's a terrible idea. I mean, it might be a great idea if the Fire Rod ends up being in there, right? But mathematically, that's not a place you want to go. But if you go up there at this point and you check Dark Death Mountain, do you come back down to do Swamp? No. You go do Turtle Rock. That's why I'm not surprised to see this Swamp play first.
I would love to see Fire Rod show up here in Swamp. Because, well, it'd be amazing if it's in this check right here, of course. But my guess is it's going to end up on the left side, because it's always on the left side.
Well, of course it is. I mean, it has to do something to make people who full clear seeds, you know, feel good once every now and again.
Although I also see a disproportionately large number of Fire Rods in Waterfall Room.
There's something ironically amusing about that. I'm not sure what it is yet. You're gonna have to give me a minute to figure it out exactly. Like, it's one of those statements where someone makes a play on words, except when you think about it really hard, you're like, I don't really see the play on words there, but there's something. I just need a minute to make the connection. That's how I feel about Fire Rod and Waterfall Cave. Waterfall Cave, help
But
me,
like
please.
I've seen more Fire Rods. I have joked about calling it the Fire Rod route before.
Alright, so Alu is going to be finishing this up, and then is going to have a bit of a quicker Eastern than Scarlet had just on the presence of having, cleared the full thing beforehand. So he's going to be able to go straight to the back. That will be his 5th crystal, and then he can keep it moving, and we'll see what he decides to do next. Now, for Alucard, on the flip side, a Turtle Rock play is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea, because that's the only thing up the mountain for him at this point.
Yeah. I don't think that was in question.
Also, we just found ourselves a book. So I imagine that after this swamp play, we're going to have a quick zip on over to Bombo's tablet, and then probably a go up the mountain, if I had to guess. Because that's either tablet. And honestly, at this point, I don't really think we have anything left.
Now, it is worth noting, we've gotten 5 of our crystals, and we're about to get our first pendant in a little more than an hour. And we've been looking for a Fire Rod for what, 20 minutes?
Yes. This seed has been, routing-wise, the seed has been trolling. But on the flip side, especially for Scarlet, with that really early flute for her, and the relatively early boots, like not super early, but early enough that you're basically using them for most of the seed, and then the early mirror as well, it's been a situation where you can check a bunch of stuff really quickly, which is why we have a really good time here, in addition to the fact that both of our runners are obviously very good at this game.
A nice Argus kill from Scarlet there. The Ice Rod is not a weapon a lot of people think of when it comes to fighting most things, but against enemies that don't get frozen, it does the same damage as the Fire Rod normally.
Yes, the timing is a little more difficult because it's slightly delayed from the Fire Rod. The beams move a little bit slower, so if you're used to Fire Rod timing, Ice Rod timing can be finicky, but it's not too bad.
I am not sure about leaving the 2 items in Swamp Palace here, unless they were both a map and a compass.
Honestly, I don't dislike it, and here's why. This is a faster check, and at this point, she could go back and not lose a whole lot of time. I don't know if she's going to do that, but judging by the fact that Scarlet's dashing back here, I'm going to assume that's the plan. I do think you're going to have to reflood. Yeah, sorry.
I am glad to see her returning.
Yes, I also believe that we have a big key or a big chest that's still outstanding. I don't think we saw the big key, so there's only at most 2 items in here because one of these spots is just the big key. But I believe we're sitting on 2 items. I'm pretty sure I saw the map and the compass in here.
Hook speed is so satisfying to watch sometimes.
Hook speed is satisfying to watch all the time. I honestly can't think of a single successful hook speed that I watched and I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. Like, they always look so clean and so good. Oh, hey, that's actually another check we could do. It's out of logic, and Alucard coming off of a non-save and quit is not going to be doing it. But we do have that Cane of Samaria. Powder's an option.
Right, I forgot. I alluded to that like an hour ago.
To be fair, I think both runners have either forgotten or just elected not to deal with it, as Alu not pulling the save and quit here, or not doing the reset because he didn't do a save and quit beforehand. So that's not going to be an option for him, and I don't think we're going to see Scarlet doing it. At best, it's like just a really, really long shot, because in order for it to be useful, you'd basically need one of your next checks to be powder, and then be able to just have powder have the fire rod. But it is an option, and if Scarlet manages to find that powder, she might feel silly for not doing that check earlier.
I think of all the items that the runners do not want to see right now, well, actually, it'd be a mixed bag. I was going to say Bombos. Because on one hand, Bombos would open Pendant Mire. On the other hand, it also opens Crystal Ice.
I mean, I feel like if you get Bombos, you just roll your button ice and hope that something's there. And of course, the big key is vanilla. Thank you, Swamp.
It's always Swamp.
I mean, we don't know that yet.
No, I mean, it's always... Swamp always seems to have vanilla big key lately for me. Usually with progression, but hopefully not for these runners. Well, actually, at this point, hopefully it's there for Scarlet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Scarlet's saying, please give me the... Oh, wow. Well, there it is. At 1 hour...
And with that finding... That's... Is that Commentator's Curse?
At this point, I feel like Scarlet says no. Since, I mean, if that wasn't go mode, she'd have to keep looking. And the spots don't get better from here.
Well, we only had to dip one pendant dungeon.
Yeah, but to be fair, that pendant dungeon was Swamp, and we had to basically full clear it given the layout. Most people are not going to choose to do left side Swamp first. Alucard could save a bit of time if he, for some reason, goes and does left side first, because then he'll grab the big key, open up that big chest, and then just, mirror right on out. Won't even have to kill Argus, but I do not anticipate that play.
I do imagine we will be seeing items that are on the way, such as the items over here in right side Ice Palace, still get checked, just because we are looking at Master Sword Silverless at the current setup.
Yes, and with Master Sword Silverless lovingly being referred to as the spin cycle for Ganon fights, if you are unfamiliar, it is 24 spins for the first phase, 24 spins for the second phase, still 4 spins for the third, but then another 24 for the fourth phase. So, that is 72 spins total, and we'll just say not fun. And yeah, Alucard going to go ahead and head to the back, because they're going to be doing the same routing that Scarlet does. Hopefully elects to go ahead and do left side Swamp, because as we know from the 3 items there, there's only one actual, or from the 3 checks there, there's only one item. Left side Swamp giving us the map and the big key, and the big chest giving us that fire rod.
Our tracker Ike here does correct that it's 12 spins for phases 1 and 2. I'm not actually certain.
That's right. No, that's correct.
And then, yeah, 24 for phase 4.
Yes.
So, that's 52 spins. That's a lot of spinning.
Yes. And at that point, you'd really hope to have, like, half magic. Just because, I mean, it's useful, especially if you have some invulnerability items like our runners do. Not gonna have enough magic here, so gonna have to pop Blue Goo, which is unfortunate, but with 900 bucks and a flute, it's not gonna be difficult to get that Blue Goo back. Gonna want to be careful here. Even with red mail, Cold Stare does pack a bit of a punch.
He may look soft and fluffy, but his hugs hurt.
Wow, Alucard just going for the 4 Ice Rod shots in the corner. That was really nicely done. And we have some synced boss pickups here.
Next, we'll see Scarlet be fluting right to the village.
Yep, and this is going to be a quick crystal number 7 for her.
Because we already know that there are no items left here in Skull Woods. And, honestly, she wouldn't be digging for them anyways.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know there's a chest that you'd grab at all, honestly. You just keep it moving, you know? Even if we hadn't checked anything in Skull Woods beforehand, I don't feel like there's a chest that's quick enough that is worth dipping in to grab, especially considering the fact that with what is it, 4, 5, 6, 7 checks in Skull Woods and only 2 items, you don't have a great chance of grabbing an item at all out of Skull Woods, much less it being a useful item.
I think it's 8. But I'm not certain anymore.
It might be. No, yeah, you're correct, it's 8. I forgot about the big chest.
Right, the big chest. I go to it so rarely I forgot about it. The worst part about this swamp is vanilla big key for progression item in big chest. Yeah,
this thing basically strings you along for as long as it physically can. Nice dodging so far from Scarlet. Pulling off a couple of spins here and some nice fire rod shots. I'm fairly certain both of those counted. And that was a really nice spin against that solid block there to finish off.
Very nice. And with that, Scarlet is at 7 crystals.
Hey, we have a game we like to play.
We do.
There are a wonderful 22 locations in the basement of GT. One of them contains the GT Big Key. I'm going to go ahead and start this sucker up in just a sec. Hopefully that'll work. There it is. All right, get your guests in chat, 1 through 22. Where do you think that big key is going to be located? Scarlet electing to not worry about potions, so hopefully this GT climb / Aga fight goes decently well for her. As Alucard gets his go mode and is heading straight over to Ice Palace. So, Mr. Highwind, I have only come with you for the second time. A lot of my co-coms that I'm more familiar with, I know have a favored spot for that GT Big Key. Do you have a spot you like to call your own?
Spot? I'm a big fan of Rando Room.
Alright.
Any of the 4 checks in Rando Room is a fun one for me to find it in. But I always, when it comes to number, I usually go with the number 13. no matter the route, it always seems to, unless they go hard right, DM hard right, or DM's room to hard right, I should say. It tends to put in rando room, but vanilla big key can be fun too.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I feel like we're pretty early on here. We're gonna get a GT entry of sub 115, which, given the fact that this seed has been, I don't want to call it trolly. I don't feel like the seed deserves trolly. But the seed has been quirky, we'll say. I want to kind of put it in a weird spot. So how about something we don't normally see? Let's go with the Fire Snake room.
Ooh, I have not seen a Fire Snake big key in a while.
You just don't see it very often. I want to see it there.
I'd accept Firebar room as well. I would like to see something unique. I agree with you on that.
Alright, small key here, and another small key. So we're going to be going to the right, at least to the compass room. I would imagine not to Ice Armos. That is not a play that most runners do, but, you know, GT routing is completely up in the air to begin with anyways, so we'll see.
Who likes GT routing?
Everyone, because everyone has their own take on it, in my opinion. GT routing is fun.
Meanwhile, we've got Alucard over in Ice Palace.
Yep, Alu and Ice, we know we're not going to find anything here, as Scarlet's a little early on that Samaria block shot. A little low on magic here, so going to pick up the one piece of magic. 4 more chests in this wonderful room, known as the Compass Room. It's going to be 3 through 6 for us, and is going to be a bunch of junk. I feel like that Mirror Shield, not worth it.
I'm of the opinion the shield counts as junk too, so.
Yeah. Alright, so with 6 checks down, we are headed over towards the left. We got Bob's Torch coming up, so-called, because if you don't take out the item here, then you end up with a unique-looking anti-fairy just before the Ice Armos room. The rando players of the day, or actually maybe the NMG players, I don't know who came up with it first, but probably the rando players, I would assume, lovingly referred to that anti-fairy as Bob. So this ends up being known as Bob's Torch.
I've always wondered, but I imagined it was something along those lines. Oh hey, our stun prize is 20 rupees. Along with, was that 2 or 3 of those checks being 20 rupees?
It was a handful of them. Alright, so here comes our Firebar room, which is not the one I guessed. The one I'm hoping for is the check immediately after this. And for those of you who are asking, we are currently sitting on, I believe, 12 checks. This next check is going to be the 13. And then we'll have 14 through 17 in Rando Room, 18 will be Bob's Chest, 19 through 21 will be Ice Armos, and 22, should it be needed, will be our Vaunted Tile Room. Wrong size key.
So yeah, like I said, I do like Rando Room, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it end up nice and late in Vanilla Big Key, and no one wants to see Tile Room, let's be honest here.
Tile Room's kind of silly. And there it is, number 16. Unless I miscounted. Yeah, 16?
Yeah, I'm going to say 16.
Yeah, 16.
6 on the right, 1 on the torch, 4 in the DMs for 11, 13, but yeah, 16. Which begins our Ganon's Tower climb at 117.30.
Oh no. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna guess
TJ Yol.
TJ Yole. Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I hope it's correct. If not, I'm sorry. Congrats on being the first person to guess 16.
Chat pointing out that 16 points for chest number 16.
All right, and the next upcoming rooms here are called the Gauntlet. They are so called because they are difficult. There's some insanity here. RNG can be silly and annoying. Our runners tend to make these rooms look easy, though with only a Master Sword in hand, it's going to be probably slightly more annoying at the very least.
Well, but not too difficult. Most enemies in here do go down with a single Master Sword swing. It is just those red Zyzacs that do not.
Yeah, but to be fair, those red Zyzacs are in rooms like this one, where it's much nicer to not have to hit them multiple times. Scarlet using spikes to go ahead and do Gold Sword damage to that first Zyzac, only needing one swing to take it out. And if you had regrets about your first Landmo fight, get ready for take 2.
Luckily this time having the favored weapon for this fight.
Yeah, still not getting favorable jumps, though. Not gonna lie. And I don't think there's a green goo, which isn't completely useless, but we're sitting on 2.5 hearts and we don't have powder. I feel like if we could turn that goo into a red or a blue goo, yeah, Scarlet would be a little more happy with it.
The red mail is nice, but fireballs do 1 heart damage no matter how you look at them.
Alright, and upcoming we have the second of the most satisfying rooms in the game. They are so-called Wizrobe rooms. Boy, we're having a day today, aren't we? It's a good thing I don't commentate, or else that could be really bad. Wizrobe rooms so-called because, well, there's Wizrobes in the room. This is actually, the rooms aren't difficult, and they look really, really smooth when you get them. That fire bar definitely bullying Scarlet a little bit here. Amusingly enough, Scarlet going for the full magic refill here, but not touching the heart that was underneath that other pot. Okay, I don't know how many more pieces of heart she needs for a refill, but there we go, and that is what we call a clutch heart refill.
Yeah. That was
another
a
one for
GT
good
climb.
It was, but she pulled it off. You know, you're sitting at 13 hearts now with the Moldorm. This fight shouldn't be terrible, hopefully. Moldorm 1 was amusing enough. I think this one, at least thus far, yep, played okay. Kind of annoying, but not badly enough that anyone's going to take a fall or anything.
I love watching people pretend to be matadors against the Moldor.
Ole! Alright, speaking of Ole, are you ready for the Master Sword Silverless fight?
You know, I've been wanting to see it run a good Master Sword Silverless run from good runners, and these two qualify. So this should be fun.
Yep, first we have Aga 2, also known as Agonometry, because, well, you have Aga plus Trig. Sorry to anyone who has unpleasant memories of that in school. I do believe that's 2 doubles, but it can be finicky if you hit the wizard. Oh, that was so close. Twice within a short period of time. So I believe we're sitting at 4 of the 6 required hits. Never mind. Like I said, sometimes when you hit them close within, there we go. So it ends up officially being...
He's asking for a triple on the last hit.
Yeah, and well, that's usually how it works. Usually it's either, you know, a handful of bad cycles or a handful of just cycles where you should have gotten more hits than you did because, like we said, hitting shots at the same time only counts as one hit. And then right when you're on 5, Aga's like, here, all 3 of us are just going to go in the same spot, and you can just go ahead and let me have it. It's like, but I only needed to hit you once. And honestly, with a Master Sword and a non-silvered bow, this is a good call. This is going to be a long fight. This is not going to be that sub 2-minute fight that you see good runners pull. This is going to take at minimum 3 minutes, and that's if Ganon's nice and Scarlet does a really good job. This fight is just going to take time, probably closer to 4 or 5 minutes. So I completely agree with grabbing the blue goos there. I may have even gone so far as to empty that green goo and fill it up with another blue one, but
I don't disagree with keeping the green goo, especially if you plan on using the cape on phase 2.
And Ganon going for the Serenade. We do get a double spin off the Trident there, and then a double spin there. So we are looking at 7 spins of the 12 required. That was almost a really good spot, but Ganon being a little too far north to give us double spins. And that's the 12 needed, and we are right into phase 2. 2 spins down for that. Nice hook shot. Nice 2 hook shots. And now the waning game. Oh, this is a really good location.
Top right corner is the best spot for Ganon. Scarlet, you don't need to cape there for a minute.
And I think that was the last spin required, although I'm not absolutely certain of that. We might need one more. If I had to guess, though, Scarlet is taking better count than I am. And this is another wonderful
And
little
like I
trick
said,
here.
keeping that green potion is useful.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry, Hammer.
No, you're good. This is another trick that you could use with the cape. It may or may not come in handy. Well, it's not going to come in handy at this point. But it is really nice for phase 2, because if you have that cape active and you just hold onto a wall, your magic does not drain. So definitely comes in handy.
Unfortunately, now, we don't have walls. We have holes.
Oh, so those... The other bow was almost definitely an iced tea, I want to say. Which would... Or in the first chest,
luckily,
actually.
Oh, if they were in Compass Chest, that'd be a feels bad moment.
Yes, it would. Unfortunately, we're not going to know, because all that he says is the general area. But yeah, like you said, it's not a feels-good moment either way. I mean, iced tea's a pain in the butt to get to, but if you knew silvers were there, I mean, you'd do it. Scarlet making really nice work of Ganon here. This is not easy. The timing is not easy to pull off these triples like Scarlet is, but she is doing it exceptionally well. I imagine we're going to get a blue goo right here. Yeah, because we don't have enough magic. And then we're going to just keep on spinning.
Spinning around. Like you said, the spin cycle.
It is. I mean, that's honestly what it is. Ooh, just a little late for that one. Alucard, meanwhile, is just ripping through the gauntlet. Like, is just ripping through the gauntlet. That was a really nice gauntlet fight. Is heading into land mode 2 with, unfortunately, no magic. So is going to pop that blue goo, it looks like, to make this fight a little bit quicker. And on Scarlet's side, the spinning continues. Continues, if you will. No, that was bad.
Not the best pun you've made.
Well, you know.
But not the worst either.
I'm dizzy, okay?
You're dizzy. And down goes Pig for Scarlet.
All right, so once this 1x3 bridge is crossed, and I'm willing to bet Scarlet's going to be very careful about crossing this bridge because this is a fight you don't want to do again, get your GGs in chat. Scarlet finishing in first place for the race with an official race time .gg time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 49 seconds. GG.
GG to Scarlet. That was a beautiful fight.
No, it definitely was. Alucard, meanwhile, might be completely out of magic.
Luckily, he has the access to that one magic refill right before the torch.
Yeah, there is enough magic in this room for this room, so long as you have the lamp. Alright, so Alu heading into his Moldorm 2 fight. Hopefully this one goes cleaner than the Moldorm 1 fight did for both of them. And there we go.
So next we'll be seeing a second round of Agathometry.
Yep, and then Spin Cycle version 2.
So, looking back on the seed, probably the hardest hit for Alucard was that Agena Pearl.
Yeah, I would say yeah, that definitely put it off to a rough start. Because you could I don't know if Alu would have done the fake flipper like Scarlet did if he did have that Moon Pearl, as that was a really, really clean Agat 2 fight. Holy cow.
Whoa.
It was really clean. But it definitely set him off on the wrong foot. I would argue that the Moon Pearl and the Flute probably hand in hand, because that Flute makes things way faster in terms of overworld movement. Even with the relatively early boots, that Flute's just really, really nice to have. So I feel like between those two, Scarlet was able to just route the seed a lot cleaner. And honestly, not checking Dark Death Mountain for Scarlet was also a huge time save, because that's an extra mountain climb.
Speaking of Scarlet, welcome to the booth. GG.
Hello, GG. Oh man, you don't know how I am happy of not touching Dark Death Mountain. I was waiting to do first Swamp to... When I go to Dark Death Mountain, I will dip front of TR just in case. So I delayed Dark Death Mountain just because of that, to be honest.
That's actually really funny, because that is exactly what I said when you fluted to 4 instead of 1.
Yeah, it was totally this the reason, because since I would be in the mountain, I would dip Turtle Rock if I did that first. But I hate entering in front of Turtle Rock without Fire Rod, so that kind of made me delay a bit.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. There's almost never a situation where that feels good unless it's literally your last location. And you're like, well, there has to be something in here. But no, actually,
yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can say it. Go ahead first.
Okay. I'll say, actually, the really big play for you, I think, was the fact that you just moseyed your tail right on over to Agha's cave and got that Moon Pearl super early. Because that put you in a situation where, I mean, one, you had the Moon Pearl, and it also led you to Fake Flipper, which Alucard did not do. So you ended up with the Moon Pearl and the Flute way earlier than Alucard got them.
Yeah, I was talking to him. It was probably this that made me win the race, cause I was kind of playing defensively, you know. Since like it's important match, I feel like that I need to. So when I did them to Agina and got that Moon Pearl, I was like, yeah, I would totally fake Flipper to Zora since I had like 600, something like that. So I was like, yeah, it's totally worth doing now, you know. Then that led to flute. When I got that flute, I was like, yeah, I'm behind. I'm behind flippers. I don't know where it is, but I'm behind flippers. So I did like the first checks on the South Shore. On South Shore, no, on Hype Cave, just to see what's in there, what do I need, something like that, what I'm behind. So it was in my head like all the time that I was behind flippers. And when I got that first glove on Escape, it didn't click it to me, that I was behind that glove. So I was looking for flippers, not that both gloves.
And
So
yeah,
I was kind of happy with that.
that's definitely one of those things that can sneak up on you, especially when you get into your head, okay, I've logic broken something. In order for this to be back in logic, I'm going to need this item. And especially with Zora, it's really easy to think, okay, I'm breaking the flippers. Flippers are what I need. But then it kind of sneaks up to you with the glove in Dark Cross and the other glove sitting in Hype Cave.
Yeah, especially with that bow there, with that bow in Lake Hyla, I was like, yeah, I'm behind flippers.
Yeah, definitely, because flippers were locking a decent amount, actually. Although technically you could have done the water walk to go grab that bow. Finding flippers relatively early made it a moot point.
And just jumping in real quick, with that bridge crossed, Alucard has finished the seed as well. GG to him.
GG.
With an official race time of 1:34:54.
And then honestly, both of your Ganon fights were really, really good. Master Sword Silverless is not fun, as we are joined in the booth by Alucard. GG, my friend.
GG, Scarlet.
GG.
So, how about those silvers sitting somewhere in Ice Palace?
I mean, it was an iced tea room. I checked every chest except that one.
Oh, luckily I didn't check everything. I skipped the one with the second one of the after ice break and big chest too.
I mean,
I also believe you skipped the first chest.
Oh yeah, the first chest too.
Yeah, I was like, I'll check everything except iced tea. What could go wrong? Because we still didn't have a third sword or silver, so I was like, these are relatively quick, and I got big key. I can check this. Rough stuff.
I'm not gonna lie though, that Moon Pearl on Agana seems to be the big play of the game. Because Scarlet grabbed that actually super early. I was sitting here like, wow, Scarlet's heading over to Agana, and then Agana just drops the Moon Pearl. So when she heads over to South Shore, she does a fake flipper to get up to Zora, and Zora drops the flute, and I was like, wow, that was a really good call.
Yeah, our team has a tradition of not checking that location and getting destroyed by it. So we like to keep that tradition up. But I mean, honestly, like, I thought about going to Zora even without the Pearl, but I was like, we have so much left in the game, and there's Escape, there's Death Mountain after that. Like, everything was kind of seemed like it was falling into place, but then more or less last location, that Moon Pearl, and then at that point, it didn't feel like Zora was justifiable.
That's fair. And then, speaking of Escape, there was a little bit more troll routing there. You decided to steal the key, which, I mean, made perfect sense, because it means you'd be able to get to the back no matter what. but then you head over to Dark Cross and hello, glove.
I didn't think it was going to be a big time loss, so I just went for it. I thought it was interesting because the game gave us a sword and a cape, so I was getting a little worried. So that was kind of the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, that's fair. The sword, or the sword and the cape, it was really looking like an early Agaseed, I'm not gonna lie. Especially because all the Kakariko really gave you was the hammer in terms of this might not be an Agaseed. And then that early Moon Pearl, it was like, oh, maybe not. And then you pulled the glove out of Dark Cross, and we were like, oh, never mind, not an Agaseed.
Yeah, once I got the glove, I was like, this is not an Agaseed anymore, because I had hammer and glove at that point, so...
Yeah, and
when you found the glove, Hammer and I both kind of had a sigh of relief because we did not want an Agaseed.
Yeah, most people don't. Yeah. I don't mind it that much if it's, forced, for whatever reason, but... Because there's some interesting routing you can do to, in the Dark World if you have the right item set. But,
Yeah, I was totally going to skip Eastern area to Duaga first. Then that glove went it entered like a glove. It was perfect,
And then you pulled Mitts out of Hype Cave, which allowed you to take the south route up towards Village of Outcasts, do the Smiths right there.
Yeah.
And just keep on moving through that.
Yeah, but I don't know why I didn't do Scoots first. I tend to do that because statistically it's the dungeon that has more probability to have our progression, So I really don't know why I skipped that, especially having Samaria and Flippers. I was like, I'm hoping that Alucard didn't do this first too.
I thought about it. It's always something I actually usually do, but in this race, I decided to focus on the crystals and the higher density route going south, because I immediately did Dark DM because I was like, okay, if we spike a Fire Rod or a Bombos, maybe I'm just going to Ice Palace and just play Ice Palace. But there's just nothing there, so I didn't have a lot to go on. I thought maybe we'll hit something in Thieves and Village of Outcasts and Smith Chain, and then just none of that worked at all. There's a sword, I guess.
Speaking of Spike Cave, Scarlet, you need a glove for that.
Yeah, I always forgot that. It's like nothing. It's a thing that you tend to forget if you don't have that in mind. Really that in mind.
No, I completely agree. I prefer running Crossworld Seeds, and it's really easy to think, okay, I need the health, or I need an invulnerability item, and I definitely need the hammer, because you walk in and there's the hammer pegs just looking at you. But I have run through Spike Cave more than a handful of times, and then went to lift up the rock and realized that I cannot, in fact, lift up this rock.
The good news is, there was nothing important in there.
Yeah, I imagined.
I believe it was a boomerang?
Yes, the red boomerang, the inferior one.
What do you mean inferior? That's Vitorp's favorite item.
Look, I've watched enough of your streams to know that Vitor prefers the blue boomerang. You can't lie to me.
I tried.
But guys, I will get going now, since I have to do an interview in Speed Game Portuguese too, and I really need to sleep today. So, GG, Alucard, thanks everyone for watching, and see ya.
GG, and good luck to your team. We got 2 more matches coming up soon.
Yeah, that's right. Are either of those on the schedule?
Yep,
I
do.
don't know.
Yeah,
we have Trap and
Wild. Yeah, Wild, Anaconda 69, and So 15 are playing Sunday 5 p.m. and they're the power team, so they're doing basically the same thing as this but swordless. So that'll be fun.
Delightful.
Compared to some of the other matches for the power, that's tame.
Yeah,
I believe it was a boomerang.
Yeah, I imagine.
I believe it was a boomerang.
Yeah, I imagine.
Compared to some of the other matches for the power, that's tame.
Yeah, they wanted tame. They picked all like very tame settings, and then they rolled decently tame settings. And then Vitorp and Tepidino are playing on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and they're the Casual Boots players.
Well, that sounds good. We do have another, I want to say, quite a few races tonight and a bunch more coming up tomorrow. So if you have not gotten your fill of Rando, go ahead and do that. Take a look at our schedule and have some fun, because there's a decent amount of Rando. I want to say for tonight we have a couple more races, and then tomorrow we have pretty much a full gauntlet of races.
I know that there is a race going on SpeedGaming 5 right now that is another one of these league matches. And then at least 2 more tonight as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. We do have one that started about 45 minutes ago, if it started on time, on SpeedGaming 5. And then we have 2 races starting at 9:40, which is, if you're not Eastern time, just under 2 hours from now. One of those on SpeedGaming 2 and one on the ALTTPR League. I will say that without having to pause one of these days.
So, yeah, if you have not gotten that fill of Rando, we've got plenty more today.
We most definitely do. Before we head out of here, Alucard, did you want to say any last words before we get on out for the night?
Now I'm good. GG to Scarlet. Made the plays.
Alrighty, so from me, I'm going to go ahead and say GG's to both these runners. Give them a follow if you haven't already. They're obviously very good at this game. Shoutouts to our tracker. Oh, man, I heard Zeke say your name, and now I don't remember.
Ike here.
Ike here. Thank you, Zeke. This is why I have a co-com, because I'm bad at everything. Anyways, shoutouts to our tracker. It is not easy to do that. Click buttons and stay completely and totally aware of everything going on around you. And they did a really good job. That being said, that's all I have. So, Zeke, you can take us on out, man.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by. And again, shoutouts to my co-com Hammer Bro. Commentary is not an easy task, and that's why there's 2 of us. And whatever time may be, have a good morning, afternoon, evening.